Derek Carr jets to New Orleans while Gang Green waits and waits and waits on Aaron Rodgers, who's just hanging out. He's he's not he doesn't want to drag this out though. That's the important thing here. Aaron Rodgers does not want to drag this out as he continues to drag it out. I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web, where I'm sure there are some colorful opinions being thrown around in regards to the Jets being asleep at the wheel, passing up an opportunity to acquire a quarterback who would be the best quarterback they've had in 50 years, because they're waiting on a 40-year-old who who may or may not want to play football again. He may or may not want to play in Green Bay. He may or may not want to come to the Jets. He will definitely cost lots of money in draft picks. So the Jets have passed out. Derek Carr reportedly, according to Jeremy Fowler, just last night, was leaning toward the Jets, had 2 visits with the team. Everything went well. The team spoke highly of him. You heard Robert Saleh. You heard Joe Douglas at the Combine raving about Derek Carr and how much they love him and all the things he can do. All of that was accurate. He's a top 10 quarterback. You can spare me that he's outside the top 15 or 20. If you take durability into consideration, I'm taking Derek Carr over probably 18 to 20 other quarterbacks in this league. There are quarterbacks who are clearly better than him. But then there are also quarterbacks who are better than him and miss a lot of time. And there are quarterbacks who are, you could say, on par with him who miss a lot of time. And there are quarterbacks who are better than him, but you're only going to get 1 or 2 years out of them. Aaron Rodgers, for example. So we don't know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. I'm sure he knows. He did his 3 years in the darkness. He came out and said he has clarity, and he didn't know what he was going to do before he went in, and he came out and every option was peaceful. Or whatever language he used. He's got no interest in divulging that at the moment. Listen, the best case scenario for the Jets here is that Rodgers knows what he's doing, and he's let the Packers know, and they've let the Jets know, and the Jets let Derek Carr know. And they look, Derek, thanks for waiting. Aaron's got some interest in coming here, so we're gonna pursue him. If that's the case, I still would have preferred Carr, but you can kind of give the Jets a pass. However, if they lose out on Aaron Rodgers, and just 16 hours ago, I think, maybe 7, whatever, last night, on the front page of JetNation.com, you'll see I did an article saying the Jets are playing a dangerous game of chicken here. How long can you ask Derek Carr to wait? You know, he's not chopped liver. He's a good player who's giving you time to do what you need to do, and you just expect him to sit there and wait for weeks, possibly months? I mean, the guy got to a point where he was like, I'm leaving. I'm gone. Like, there's a team that actually wants me. They're offering me money and everything. Whereas the Jets are offering compliments through the media. So I don't know if there's a deal with Rodgers, but the Jets, again, and I'm not even putting this on Joe Douglas right now. I tweeted with somebody last night who was saying, you got to fire Joe D if he doesn't get one of these quarterbacks. Well, listen, I hate the conspiracy theories about ownership is doing this and ownership is doing that and Woody's too involved. Like, we have no evidence of that. We can assume it. But, and this isn't just Woody Johnson. This, any owner who's looking at acquiring Aaron Rodgers that hasn't had a good quarterback in forever is gonna speak up and be heard. And I have no doubt that if Joe Douglas was sitting there saying, let's make Derek Carr an offer, that he was being told we're not making anyone any offers till we know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. So if this is an ownership decision, then Joe Douglas has nothing to do with it. If this is a Joe Douglas decision and they don't get Aaron Rodgers, it's the biggest screw up of the Joe Douglas era. I mean, even Zach Wilson at 2 being a bust. Zach Wilson at 2, every quarterback, every pick, from the first pick to Mr. Irrelevant, doesn't matter. Every draft pick on a quarterback is a crapshoot. The bust rate on quarterbacks is insane. Look at first-round quarterbacks over the last 10, 15 years. Most of them bust. And Zach Wilson's another one who was a bust. This was an opportunity to get a proven commodity, a 4,000 yards per year guy, a guy with 22 career fourth quarter comebacks, a guy who's got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 good years of football left in him, a guy who wanted to be here, above all, wanted to be a Jet. The Jets put him on hold and kept him on hold and let him keep waiting, and now he's off the table. Now it becomes Aaron Rodgers, or do you pivot to Lamar Jackson if and when Aaron Rodgers decides he's either going to stay in Green Bay or he doesn't want to come to the Jets? Do you then call the Ravens and say, yes, that quarterback you guys have who has missed 11 of his last 25 games due to injury and has taken over 700 hits and wants 40 to 50 million a year and is going to cost multiple first-round draft picks at minimum, yes, we would like to have a conversation about adding him. Or do you call free agent Jimmy Garoppolo, who is reportedly drawing interest from the Raiders now because of his history with Josh McDaniels? Do you call and say, listen, Jimmy Garoppolo, we feel like you can give us 6 or 7, maybe even 8 really good games this year before we put you on IR. Here's your $35 to $40 million. Is that Baker Mayfield? Hey, Baker, you won 11 games a couple years ago with the Browns. We know you played hurt the year after that. You're a cheaper option. Your maturity level is nowhere near enough to be stable in the New York, New Jersey area. Or do you call Jacoby Brissett? Like, where do you go from here if you're the Jets? If. Again, this is all an if, but it's a big if now because really there were 2 big names. It was Rodgers and Carr. Because really I think Lamar could enter the equation at some point, but I have a hard time believing Baltimore lets him go. And if they do let him go, I've discussed this in the past with Dylan Terraman on Jet Nation Radio. I think that if Baltimore lets Lamar go, that's a red flag to me. I hate every year at free agency, you get these fans, every time you sign somebody, well, if he's so good, why did the other team let him go? And I always say it's a dumb take because teams have to let guys go. Like, you can't keep everyone. Sometimes you're changing schemes, sometimes you're changing coaches, sometimes there's philosophical differences between you and the player. There's reasons why you let guys go. Quarterback is different. If you have a franchise quarterback, which Lamar Jackson is, and you let him walk, and you're the Ravens, like the Ravens are a respected organization. The Ravens are not a team that's run by John Idzik or Mike McCagnon. They're not the Cleveland Browns. This is a respected organization. And they've had the guy in their building from the second he was drafted. And if they're willing to let him walk out, I've got some concerns. But that the Jets may not have a choice. As I said, if you lose out on Carr and now Aaron Rodgers says, I'm not coming there, I'm not going to New York or I'm not playing this year, well, now you've got to pivot somewhere. You're going to go after Ryan Tannehill? Another injured guy, 35, 36 years old, coming off an injury. Jets are in a tight spot, and I do wonder if the Packers recognize this. And if the Packers say, look, they got to come away, they got to come out of this with Aaron, or they're going to get skewered by the fan base. So maybe a couple days ago, you could have got him for a couple of 3s, or a 3 and a 4, or a 3 and a conditional 4 that becomes a whatever. But now maybe the Packers say, look, we're going to want that 13th pick. Honestly, I don't think it gets quite that bad. But pick 42, that could come into play because your other option's gone. Your other power play, the young, strong-armed quarterback who wanted to play for you is now off the table. So now it's our guy or some injury-prone guys who want a bunch of money who are going to cost you a lot more in draft capital. And then there's always the possibility, of course, that the Jets are back in this situation next year. Because if they do get Aaron Rodgers, and he does decide, you know what, I think I want to play one more year. And then this time next year, we're talking about free agent quarterbacks. Or we're talking about drafting another project. Because you're not going to have a ton of ammo to trade up if you're giving up picks to get Rodgers. So, not a great position to be in unless, as I said, unless the Jets already know. Unless Carr signed because he's been told that Rodgers is willing to go to the Jets, then the Jets get, I wouldn't say a free pass, because you're still giving up picks for a possible 1-year rental, whereas you could have kept all your picks and had a 4 to 5 year minimum answer at quarterback. But look, it's water under the bridge. Carr's gone. He's going to be a Saint. The Jets will now sit and wait on their 1 to 2 year rental. Jets fans will wait to see what type of draft capital they give up to get him. And tell you what, if it's a 1 and then some, I know a lot of fans are going to be riled up, and rightfully so. You know, my gut up to yesterday said it would be a 3 and then maybe 2 3s or a 3 and a 4. But now with Carr off the market, I do think Green Bay maybe tries to squeeze a 2. Did they get it? That's one thing we could say about Joe Douglas with his trades. He's done a really good job. He's been very judicious. He's been very cautious about what he gives up, and he's won a lot of his trades, so I don't think he goes to that level. But we'll see how it plays out. All we know now is the Jets had a really good option on the table, and they just let him walk out the door, and now they're in a tight spot We'll see what happens. And any breaking news, we'll cover that again. And like I said, go to the forums, jetnation.com. The conversation is going to be lively. That's it for now. We will be live tomorrow, Thursday night. I'll be solo. Dylan Terman's got some stuff to take care of. It'll be just myself. Tomorrow, Thursday night at 6:30. Have a good one, Jets fans.